Hey there, I'm Trudy, One Grounded Angel. This is the weekly angel card reading video for the week starting Monday the 16th of November through to the 22nd, 2020. So Mercury retrograde is finished for the year. Mars retrograde has just finished. Things are looking much easier. Oh, except it's the holiday season, so there's that. Let's start shuffling and see what's going to, what the divine wants to tell us to help us get through the week and make good choices. Oh, coming in hot for Monday. Trust issues. This can go in either two ways. It can go in terms of trust of people around you, or it can go in terms of trust of the universe. So the first one is pretty self-explanatory. If you have met someone recently that you're wondering whether you can trust or not, this card can serve as a validation that you can. If you are in a relationship, be it a romantic or a platonic, where you feel like trust issues are coming up, this is confirming that's the case and inviting you to look into that a bit further and to take some steps towards healing that. And sometimes trust issues don't show up in the way that you would expect them. They're not necessarily about you worrying that someone is cheating on you. They might show up more as you needing to constantly seek validation of that person still loves you or something like that. And of course that's human, but when we're going to extremes, we're really trying to monitor things extensively, being hyper vigilant, that can show a lack of trust. And if you're single, a lack of trust in terms of relationships can show up in terms of going out with people who you know are not right for you, because it's a struggle for you to trust that the right person is going to come along for you. And that leads me into the next part, which is trust of the universe. Trust of the universe is something people don't think about too much. They think, oh yeah, I trust the universe, but then they act in ways that undermine that. For example, well, the example I just gave is one. Another example might be, they say if you're looking for a new house, and instead of trusting that you're going to find the right place, you keep going and looking at open homes that you know are just, you know, from the outset are not going to be right for you. The ones you can't afford, or they're in the wrong area. So you keep, because you're struggling to trust that things are going to fall into place for you. So hopefully that gives you some good examples of how this might be showing up. Let's go to Tuesday the 17th. Wow, a card has come up so fiercely that I actually bent it. But as you know, if you've been watching my videos for a while, it's not uncommon. Take back your power. Excellent, I love this. Use your God-given power and intention to manifest blessings in your life. Now, some of us can go into a victim mentality very easily. I've certainly done it many times throughout my life and think, things aren't working out for me, they never will. Or I've had so many disappointments, I'm cursed, or I'm doomed, or something like that. And we can go into it's just never going to work out for me, I give up. Almost throw a little bit of a tantrum, maybe. I've done this at times. I thought, oh, this is it, I'm never going to find a partner, I'm giving up. And when we're in that disempowered state, we're choosing to stay resentful instead of choosing to stay optimistic, which isn't to say that you have to go around trying to force. Sometimes with power we can go too far and trying to make things happen on our watch and according to our schedule, which is less about power and more about control and often anxiety is what underpins that. So this is really more about, what are you doing to make things happen for yourself? Are you acting in ways that support your visions, your ideas, your plans, or are you sitting in like a waiting room waiting for the universe to show up with it? And there's always a fine line here, and it's not always easy to find the balance. We need to be able to trust that the universe is going to bring things through, but we also need to be working towards it. Because if we're not taking any steps, taking any action towards our goals, there's nothing for the universe to anchor the energy to, because we're just stagnant. It's when we're moving, we're in motion, that things come through, because that's what attracts the energy of change and progression, because we're already doing some of the work towards that. We need to be willing to meet the universe halfway on this. So this is making sure you are taking an empowered stance towards what you want. And for some of you, I'm getting this maybe about power issues showing up in your relationship, which, as I mentioned, could be linked to trust issues. Generally, they are linked to wounding of some sort, whether that be hurt from your past, a lack of safety in your childhood or something like that, it's worth talking to an energy healer about that and trying to work through it. And sometimes people find that a bit frustrating because those sorts of issues, A, can be painful and uncomfortable to deal with, and B, can take a really long time. But here's the thing, in terms of the time is passing anyway. You may as well spend the time getting to where you want to go, getting to somewhere better. And A, in terms of the discomfort, I think the discomfort of staying stagnant is worse for me. But of course, fear does a bit of a number on us and convinces us that it's too painful to deal with and it's better to just keep stuffing things down. Yeah, so that's power and trust. What a week. We're going to Wednesday now. Some big stuff coming through. Well, that's Scorpio season, isn't it? Wednesday, Scorpio is all about power. And yes, there is always a spectrum. Power can be helpful. Power can be used as a form of manipulation and can be corrupt in some ways. Wednesday, oh, beautiful, retreat. You might be thinking, well, it's Wednesday, it's a working week, I don't think I've got much of a chance to do this. You don't have to go to a retreat in the mountains, although I'm sure you would love to. This is more about taking a retreat from the thought patterns that are really weighing you down. Definitely, if you have the opportunity to book a retreat and you've been thinking about it, this would be a validation to go ahead and do that. But I think this is more about getting a break from the routine that you're in, a break from whatever it is that you're beating yourself up about, really retreating from a situation in order to resolve it. Sometimes we think if something is bothering us, we think I just have to keep turning this around and round and round in my head, and that's when the solution will appear. I have found the opposite to be true. It's when I let things go that the solution becomes apparent, because I have to be willing to surrender my hold on it in order for the universe to bring something through. Sometimes you've got a bit of a stranglehold on the energy when you're really overthinking, overanalyzing, and attaching so much stress and fear-based energy to something. So it might be about taking a break from that so that we can let whatever it is that needs to be revealed, be revealed. Shuffling for Thursday now. And in terms of a break, you know, it doesn't have to be extensive. It can be just you choosing to concentrate on your breathing for 60 seconds and see what sort of a refresher that gives you. Thursday's an interesting one, ear chakras. So the ear chakras are not among the main chakras that we focus on in Reiki and in many other modalities of energy healing. They are there are tons. There are so many chakras that we don't know about. And chakras, for a very quick refresher, are the energy centers located in our energy field, kind of like roundabouts. The energy goes through. There's all these different sort of highways, I guess you could call them, the roundabouts, the major intersections. If there's a blockage at a major roundabout, nothing's going to move through there. If there's an imbalance, and so we see that with, say, blocks around the throat chakra, which is about communication. I think we had that last Tuesday. And that means that there's an imbalance there. It's going to be hard for you to feel like you can express yourself, and you might overcompensate by over speaking and etc. Although I've yet to meet anyone showing up for spiritual work who fits into that category. Most people who show up for this sort of work are the opposite, struggling to express themselves. Anyway, going back to this ear chakra, these are more like a low grade chakra. They're showing up to speak to us about how sounds can appear that are actually messages for us from our intuition. This could be more of a clear audience kind of message for some of you. If you know what that is, that's meaningful. If you don't, let it go. So we can hear intuitive messages in the form of sounds, music. Sometimes we can hear voices and go, who said that? And sometimes I've had a situation where I've been in a cafe and overheard a snippet of someone else's conversation, and the words they said was exactly what I needed to hear. And I could tell it was what I needed to hear because it was accompanied by that knowing feeling, the knowingness. That's usually your giveaway. So this could be telling you that if you've had messages in that form lately, to act on them. This could be telling you if you are having problems with your hearing, to act on that. It could be a physical health message, and it also could be letting you know to listen up. Maybe there's something going to come through for you. Maybe you're too in your own world and you're not listening to what's actually going on. Maybe you're not listening to what's going on in your relationships, if we want to pin that to the relationship theme. It's, well, I don't know if it's a theme, but it's certainly the way I've chosen to interpret some of these messages, because relationships are so fundamental to our personal development. Okay, Friday. Oh, I love these illustrations. They're so beautiful. This is flexible. This could literally, if you look at this illustration, it could literally be about doing more yoga or stretching. Your physical health, if you choose to interpret it that way, if it's something you've been thinking about doing, here you go, go for it. Get into your Pilates, your Tai Chi, whatever it is, stretching your physical health. Often this card is more about an emotional stretching, so or a mental stretching as well. Being a little bit more flexible in your thinking, a little less rigid. Now, I mentioned that we're in Scorpio season at the moment. That is a fixed sign. That means it tends to be a little inflexible. It wants to go with what it believes to be best. And we all have aspects of this. I'm not just speaking to people who are under the sun sign of Scorpio, or have strong Scorpio showing up strongly in their astro chart. This can be all sorts of people as well. Look at whether you're holding on too tightly to something instead of being a bit more flexible in how you approach it. If your goal has not worked out, perhaps because of the pandemic or something, can you be a little bit more flexible in how you pursue it? Or are you holding on too tightly to that image of perfection? Are you being too much of a perfectionist? I say too much because arguably there's not a good level of perfectionism, but I'm really talking about where we're trying to pursue something so aggressively because we're looking for something that's missing within ourselves, that we might be, there might be a toll on our well-being, on our relationships, and perhaps also on our ability to tune into what we actually need to know at this point. So a lot of different ways that could be showing up for you, and as always, trust your intuition on what that means to you. Maybe being a bit more flexible in your plans if you're one of those people who needs to have the entire weekend mapped out. Maybe you could try to be a little bit more spontaneous, or leave a little bit more space and see what comes through. If we're running around all the time, I know I spoke earlier about how we need to be in motion in order to attract things, but we also need to have a balance, and we need to have some time of self-reflection, because again, that's when insights come through often. If we're always listening to podcasts while we're walking through the bush, we're going to miss some of the insights that come through from being around that beautiful healing energy. Adventure for Saturday. This is a great card. It could literally be about going somewhere on an adventure. I do understand many of you live in countries where that's not possible right now. But for those of you who do, this might be asking you challenging you to get out of your comfort zone and do things a little differently. You can see a correlation here with the inflexible. Let's take a few more risks, calculated risks, and do things differently. Let's not be so fixed to our normal routine. I always drive home from work this way, for those of you who are working out of the house. I always cook at this time. I always do this time. Maybe try to change things up a bit so you can, experience things differently, and it also helps leave space for new opportunities and experiences to come through. Yeah, that's really what it's about. And trying to see things as an adventure, I think, as well can help, which is hard because we're a very goal-oriented society. And of course, there's nothing wrong with pursuing our goals. That's really important. But when we're so attached to the outcome, to having the success, we miss the importance of the journey. And usually the journey, in my experience anyway, is more important than the destination or the outcome, because that's when the learning happens. So Sunday we have Medicine Woman, amazing card. I love the lightning in this, it's so powerful, and we've had some massive storms here lately. So as many of you on the east coast of Australia would have also had, being in spring. So this card is primarily about healing. If you are thinking of starting on your healing journey as a healer, or going through healing yourself or therapy, do it. This is so giving you the green light. But if that's not speaking to you, how else is there an invitation for you to step into power in your life? And as I mentioned with Tuesday, taking an empowered stance is really important in our lives. We can't be waiting for opportunities to be handed to us. We need to go out and look at, what do I want, not what other people want from me, or what should happen to me because I've been doing all the right things. Looking at how can I step into power and go after what I want, and maybe that involves me doing things a bit differently. So I think there's a bit of a theme of not being too rigid and not being too stubborn in terms of what we want. Yes, I have 7 cards and no 2-card days this week, which is always welcome because they end up being very long Instagram captions. Power is a big theme. Power and transformation, and opening up to variation, to possibility, and to new ways of doing things as well is coming up strong. So that's it for this week, the 16th to the 22nd of November. I'll be back again next week as always. Don't forget to watch or to follow me on Instagram so you can see each card show up. At One Grounded Angel is my handle, and my Facebook page is called One Grounded Angel. And now, if my talk about healing has started to stir something in you, I am an energy healer and I work with people all around the world. So you can talk to me about us doing some healing work together via my website, www.onegroundedangel.com. And if you're wondering how that works over distance, the answer is that energy is not confined to geography, basically. So I can work with someone's energy from across the miles. I've done it many, many times, and it is incredibly effective. And people have told me that they can actually feel the energetic change. So you can find out information on my website, and there's contact details on my website as well if you would like to know more. Thank you very much, everybody, and have a terrific week.